Hey guys and dolls, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a story time, and it is going to be about that time my coworkers got arrested and sent to jail. So if you would really like to know who was sent to jail, why they were sent to jail, keep on watching. And of course, per usual, please don't forget to comment, like, become a part of my sub hub. And also don't forget to ring my bell because it's absolutely free and I know you can. Okay. Oh my god. Alright, so let's get this story poppin'. Now, you must be wondering, who got arrested? Why did they get arrested? Okay, it's been a while. This is back when I worked for the bank, and I don't know what the hell was going on with these people that I worked with. I will never get it. Crime doesn't pay. Karma's a bitch, and it will come back to you no matter how you think you've gotten away with something, no matter what you've done that you've actually gotten away with, and you think that you will never be touched and you're just gonna be just fine. Believe you me, it will come back to bite you in the ass. So just don't do these things. Don't be stupid. But it was a bank that catered to the wealthy. This was like a mortgage loan based bank, and we did have, you know, accounts and things, but you know, regular people want to go to Wells Fargo or Chase for those types of things, not this particular bank. So I was a teller at the time. I was transitioning from being a teller to being in the operations department. I wasn't actually there yet. I was just looking into it, and I was still a teller. And we were, for some reason, I can't remember all the details, but most of the operations department, as I recall, we were all put in a branch for a little while. So I had to do teller work, and I was also doing operations work. I guess they purchased a new building, and at this particular branch, I remember this one head teller. Now, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe her without being mean, but she had a lot of confidence. And if you saw her or you met her, you would just be like, I don't know, it was just like a chip on her shoulder. There always seemed to be something not quite right. And as a teller, as you know, you have to balance every day. If you don't balance every day, we got incentive at this bank. And the incentive was to balance every day. If you balanced every day for a month, you would get an extra $100 in your check. I mean, I knew tellers that would borrow money from their own drawer to go to lunch. As a teller, you don't get paid much. And I don't know if any of you out there are tellers. If you are, leave me a money sign down in the description box. I would love to know if I'm talking to tellers. Anyway, you know, I really needed that extra $100, but this chick, she would be too nice. A lot of times, sometimes there were months that, you know, were upsetting. I would be over more than $1 or so, and she would just fix it. And I'm like, what? Things like that would happen a lot. So as time went on, the girl that became my really good friend, she became my boss in the operations department. This was at the time we were still in the branch, transitioning, whatever, we were all there. And I noticed that she was really preoccupied at work. Like, normally we would chat a little bit at lunch or chat, you know, during the days. Something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. We were friends and we were getting closer, and I knew something was wrong. I was like, what is it? What is it? What's going on? And we kept getting, excuse me, at that time, we kept getting they will randomly check your drawer. And this is to avoid fraud and to avoid you stealing. At any point of any day when you're working, your head teller, your manager, your whoever was above you at that branch could come and say, I want to count your drawer. And they needed to. That's why the tellers that used to take $20 and go to lunch should have never done that, because if they caught you doing that, you are fired, you are gone, you lose your job. So they kept doing that. There was one week where, I mean, this would happen maybe once a month, if at all. But this was happening over and over again on a weekly basis, and this was happening again and again for 3 weeks. And that's when I was asking my friend, I was like, what is going on? So she finally had to say something when I saw not her boss, but she was like the regional, I don't know what her title was. They give out vice president titles like candy in banks, if you didn't know. But she was some type of vice president of I don't know what. And she came in to check her drawer. And it was mostly her drawer that was being checked. I mean, they would randomly pick people. Like, they picked me one time and I was fine. And they never picked me again. But they were picking her a lot. So I was like, come on, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on. And another thing I have to say before I get to the juice. As a teller, you're trusted with people's money. Your money, my money. And a lot of times, especially businesses, would come by, make deposits, and, you know, everybody has a bad day. Everybody has an off day. They wouldn't count right. A lot of times they would be over, or a lot of times it would be under. And these things had to be taken seriously because as a teller, let's say that account was over. Let's say that deposit was over. You could easily pocket that money and never tell the client. Now, I would never, ever, 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 never, ever did that come through my mind because I was always a nervous wreck in counting money and dealing with money. You have to be trustworthy and you have to be reliable. And, you know, there's a lot of trust that comes with having any type of job where you're dealing with someone's money. And it's not a joke. So apparently, she was pocketing that extra money. That was one. She was manipulating the system because as a teller, and I learned a lot more because I went to the operations department, there are debits and credits. So if you debit something, there must be a credit. And apparently she was debiting people's accounts for small amounts of money, many, many, many accounts. So imagine on a daily basis, you're just taking $20 here and $30 there and $15 here and manipulating your balance. So again, stealing from the clients whose deposits were wrong. She was creating debits and credits to offset debits that she was making out of multiple accounts and then pocketing the money. And I believe, I forgot, she was doing something with we had cashier's checks and money orders, so she was doing something with those as well. And they caught on. Eventually, when you work in an operations department, there is someone that is directly over every type of transaction. There's someone that's directly over debits. That means money coming out of people's accounts, credits, money going into people's accounts. And everything has to, like, at the end of the day, everything has to match up. Things weren't matching up. Dude, one day, and I already told you the juice, that's what she was doing. She was pretty much stealing, and no one knows how long this was going on. Nobody knows. It could have been months, it could have been years. She was a teller with this bank forever, way longer than I had been. And the Orange County Sheriff of Florida came to get her. She was handcuffed and taken, and apparently her boyfriend was in on it, and I would see him all the time coming into the bank, going through the drive-thru, making deposits, making withdrawals. And I knew shit hit the fan when one day they were going to check her drawer, and it was the top dog, I forgot her name. She was there, and I'd never seen her that nervous. She was a very, very, like I said, had a chip on her shoulder, was very confident, was a very happy person. And that was why. She knew what she was doing. She knew that she was stealing tens of thousands. It wasn't just thousands, it was tens of thousands of dollars. And they arrested her and they fired her, and that was the end of her job. Okay, so now, employee number 2, and this was a guy. Excuse me, sorry. This was a guy. He was an investment specialist. And this was one of the first banks I had ever worked for. And I was with them for a good 3 or 4 years. I was a teller at the time. And as an investment specialist, you take people's money and you invest it, and whatever money you make for that client, you get a percentage of. That's basically what an investor does. I forget, it's more involved. I know some of you are, if you're in banking, you're gonna be like, that ain't right. No, it ain't. That's the gist of it. So no, I don't know exactly his job, but I kind of know what an investment banker does. They take your money, they invest it, and they get a percentage of whatever profit there is. So this dude, I never liked him. He rubbed me the wrong way. And let me tell you, to look at him, he was polished, he was tall. Some would say he was handsome. He wasn't to me. I never thought he was attractive in that way. I think he was attractive. It's just that whatever I was feeling from him made him really gross to me. But he was tall, you know, he did have blonde hair, he had blue eyes, but just a really tall, dashing guy, beautiful suits. I mean, you know that guy that knows how to dress his body. He was trim, he was very fit. Like I said, the coordination of the suits he had with his shoes, and you know, his hair was always done just right. I mean, he was a nice looking man. Again, did I find him attractive? No, but I bet if I showed you a picture, a lot of girls would be like, oh my God, he was so good looking. But anyway, his background was an investment banker, and that's what he did. He brought in money to the bank, and even, you know, got new clients to come in and invest their money with him. And let me tell you, there were so many. I can't even begin to tell you how many people trusted this guy. And he did have a very trusting face. He really did. He gave me the creeps. I felt sick whenever he was around. I'm like, I'm not kidding you. And he would come behind the teller line and try to talk to me. He was just very in your face and very intrusive. Just, I guess this is what the traits that you would need to have if you're like someone who needs sales. And as an investment banker, you do have to attract those sales into the bank so that you have money to invest for clients, because it's not only clients at the bank who already have accounts that you deal with. So like I said, these were hundreds of people. I can't even tell you how many people he dealt with. And people at the bank, I was the only one who didn't like him. There was maybe one other person in the branch that I worked at, and there was like there was like 8 people at the branch, and everybody loved him except me and some other girl who was hardly ever there because she was a teller that used to go around to a lot of the other branches to help out. So I would always question myself, like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I like him? What's wrong with you, Julie? He's making the bank great money. Let me tell you, he won awards. He won a trip to Hawaii, okay? He won a trip to Japan. He won just accolades, awards, medals, trophies, you name it, he had it. Everybody at that bank put him on a pedestal and adored the ground that he walked on because he was walking money. He was walking money. And supposedly from the ladies at the branch I worked at who loved him, and let me tell you, when he was on these trips, he would call the bank and have people there do transactions for him, and that's a big, gigantic no. If they were abroad somewhere, we could not do debits and credits and funds transfers and wires for you when you were out of town. No, especially from a personal account. And that's what one of the customer service reps was doing for him. And then when he got back from these trips, he would have all the people that would help him with the transfers and doing things for him when he was abroad, because he wormed his way into our everyday activity at the bank and became friends with people, would buy lunch for people. He would come back with gifts. He never came back for nothing for me. And I was so happy because he knew that I couldn't stand him. And he would, let me tell you, when I tell you, he would become behind the teller line. He would just show me the watches that he would buy. He would show me his shoes. He would strut around, asking me if I liked his tie. It was really bad. And one of my close friends who was a teller, we weren't that close, but she was my friend, was after him like you would not believe. She worshipped the ground he walked on. You know how it is when you fall for someone and you like them and you want them to like you, and you're doing things because you want this person to like you. That's how she was with him. He cheated on her, played her dirty. She had to pick him up on many occasions when he was drunk downtown, because this branch was located in the downtown of Orlando. Let me tell you, he drug her through the mud, and still she was wanting to be with him. And believe me, I've been through situations not like that, but I've had similar things happen to me where I'm just like, why is it not working? Why is it not working with you? I like you so much, this, and that. And you know, you're blinded. You have blinders on. So I felt for her. But yeah, he also, okay, I have to tell you this. I'm going to get to the juice in a minute. He also, his childhood, this is what one of the customer service reps, the one who used to do most of his transactions while he was away on these trips he was winning, he told her that as a kid, he was adopted, never knew his parents. He had a really bad childhood. He grew up hungry most of the time, not having what he needed. And he said that at one point he was abandoned with his little brother in the shack in the middle of nowhere. The police found him and he was put into an adoptive situation. That was his background and that was his story. That's what he would sucker people with to gain their trust and gain their, you know, affection, and, you know, to have people feel sorry for him and think what a wonderful guy he was. So, and this happened yeah, oh my God. I knew this guy for years. This was years, because I had been at that bank for almost 4 years and he was there the whole time. I remember him at the Christmas parties, you name it. Well, we get an email, a random email. And I read the email and it was all about him. And this was like a top high priority email. And it went on to say that such and such, I don't even remember his name, but such and such, I remember his face. Even if I did, I wouldn't say his name, so I'm glad I can't remember it. But in the email, it basically said that he was arrested. And it just went on to explain what time they went to his apartment, how they got him, handcuffed him, when they brought him over to, you know, the courthouse, and that he would no longer be working at the bank, duh. And just went on to explain that he had been, none of his investments and nothing that he said he did for the bank was true. All of it was fake. All of it was dummied. And all those people who helped him do transactions and helped him with all that stuff while he was away on the many, many trips that he won, I don't know, nothing happened to them, but the bank was out, I would have to say, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe millions. Yeah. And they got him too. So, dude, crime doesn't pay. And that is the story of my 2 co-workers who went to jail. It doesn't pay, people. Just be honest, be sincere, be truthful. Believe me, karma's a bitch and it's gonna come back to you. So, you know, I'm not gonna say they deserved what they got, but you are you know, your circumstances are the repercussions of your actions, your thoughts, and your feelings. So keep that in mind the next time you are tempted to buy Instagram subscribers or YouTube subscribers or views or comments. Whenever you are really just like, oh my God, I need this, I want this now, I want it so bad, I'm just gonna cheat. Think of this story, think of me, and know that it's not worth it, people. It really isn't. So yeah, this is the end of my video. I have no idea how long I've been talking. I hope I made some sense. I hope I went through a flow. If you have any questions, leave them below. But yeah, if any of you are in banking or a teller, my fellow tellers, my fellow bankers, even though I'm not a banker anymore, leave a $sign in the description box. Come on. Even if you don't want to leave a comment, give me some feedback. Let me know that you're out there and that you're watching and that, you know, you liked my story. But yeah, this is the end of it. And until my next story time, be good, make good decisions, and I will see you in my next video.